So this year has kind of been a pretty big year for anyone who's a fan of Superman. The movie did a lot for the character's reputation, as well as brought a lot of attention to some of the different comic books that have come out over the character's very, very long history. A couple of the things I was really excited about this year is that we got 2 omnibus volumes that specifically cover something called the Triangle Era. This was the time between like the very late 80s up through the early 2000s, where the big characteristic of it was this triangle that was on the cover of each of these comics, and it would have the year and it would have like a number on it so that you could read all of the Superman stories that were coming out across a whole bunch of different titles in the correct order. Now, I've been reading Omnibus Volume 2. It's big. It's a big book. And this is very fun. The first story in this was actually Metropolis Mailbag, which was the Christmas video that I did last year. But in 1991, right after the first Metropolis Mailbag, we got a second Superman Christmas story. And this story is really interesting because rather than really standing alone, it kind of highlights everything that I love about this era of Superman comics and what made it probably my favorite, and why I think that anyone who misses what comics used to be should really hop into the Superman Triangle Era. And I'm very excited to tell you why. Our story begins on a beautiful Christmas morning in Washington, D.C., where Kansas Senator Caldwell and his wife are enjoying a peaceful morning, opening presents and enjoying each other's company when suddenly a knock comes to the door. Got a package for Senator Caldwell. You'll have to sign for it. Certainly, young man. Awful business to be working on a holiday. I don't mind it. Happy holidays, Senator. There's a card. Regards from the President. Now we're going to go ahead and take that plot line, we're going to put it away, we're going to put it in a box, and then we're going to wrap up that box, and then we're going to drop kick that box, and then we're going to throw it underneath the tree, and we're never going to talk about it again. Which, it sounds weird, but it's actually one of the reasons why I love this era of Superman so much, this Triangle Era. Here's the main characteristic that really set it apart. There were 5 different Superman books in rotation at this time. Some of them were monthly, some of them were quarterly, one was every other year. Anyway, the math adds up to where you got a new Superman story every single week. You pick up a book today and it's going to exist and it's going to be relatively disconnected from everything else that's going on. That's just the way that it works out. But during this time, every single weekly adventure of Superman played into itself and continued a huge story where a storyline will get brought up in like Action Comics, for example, and then get finished in Action Comics, but important details about that story, they would get brought up by the other teams in the other issues. They called this the never-ending battle system, where each book felt so important to read and continue the story, yet they were really good at summarizing all of the story plot lines, so you could almost pick it up anywhere and have an understanding of what's going on and immediately be thrown into this very deep ongoing story where plot lines would start and they would finish, but another plot line would start in the middle of it and continue on, so it felt really cool and really continuous. They kept this system going for close to 20 years. Just this long ongoing story that went almost seamlessly, almost completely unbroken for 20 years. That's huge. We don't ever see that in comic books these days. Now, there is a bit of a trade-off here, is that if you pick up any random book, you're going to start in the middle of some plot lines, maybe even several plot lines. On the other hand, you get some incredible payoffs, and we're going to see one of those really important payoffs right here in this book. After the explosion, and after we're not going to talk about that again, we end up in the Ace of Clubs with Jimmy Olsen and Bibbo Bibbowski. Oh man, I love Bibbo. Everyone loves Bibbo. Bibbo is kind of the best. And this was the other element to this era that I just really love, and I promise we'll get to it. But first, any character that's been in comics for this long is going to have quite an extensive supporting cast. And interestingly for superheroes, you'll notice that the rotating supporting cast, it's exactly that, it's rotating. Characters will come in and come out and disappear for a while, then they'll come back. And sometimes you can almost define the decade based off of what characters were present. In the 90s, one of the big characters that was present was Bibbo. So Bibbo and Jimmy Olsen are at the Ace of Clubs, and they're trying to set up like this Christmas party. Bibbo wanted to set up a Christmas party for all of his patrons so they can have some place to go on Christmas, since most of the people in the slums of Metropolis, they don't really have anywhere to go. So Bibbo's providing that place. And what's Jimmy up to? And this is an example of just how quickly and succinctly they can summarize what's going on in the story. Say hi to your mother for me, Red, but make it quick because you got more pictures to take. Bibbo knows I'd never mention him or this bar to my mom. I wouldn't fit in with all the lies I've been feeding her this past month. She thinks I'm doing just great, traveling all around the country on photo assignments for the Daily Planet. Just as well that Mom's line is busy. I'd be too tempted to tell her the truth anyway. Like, first I lost my job at the newspaper, next I got booted out of my apartment, and then I slept in my car until it was towed to the impound lot for parking violations. Bibbo's been a lifesaver, letting me room with him until my luck improves. I thought it had when I managed to get shots of that robot coming out of the basement of the shelter. Bibbo even donated a money order to pay for the processing the film in the stupid disposable camera. And now it's been a month and I still haven't got my comeback pictures in the mail. See, we summarize this really quickly, and it's a lot to take in sometimes. But in just a few panels, you've been caught up on what I've been reading for weeks in these books. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Clark and Lois are hanging out at home, enjoying a nice Christmas morning, watching a Christmas special on TV, when This is another part that's really fun, especially for longtime fans of Superman. This was a completely different canon than what was happening in the 60s and 70s and earlier. But they would reference it occasionally, and one of Jimmy Olsen's biggest stories was when he turned into a giant turtle. And Superman and Lois, they're at home, they're watching this TV commercial for Titano's Pizza. And Jimmy is playing a bit part in it, and he's playing this giant turtle monster, and it's very funny. It's very self-referential. Very nice. We like those Easter eggs. But they see this and they're like, holy crap. Jimmy, where is he? We have no idea where he's at, and now we're just seeing him do bit parts on TV? Like, where did this come from?
Something big is coming your way. Want to be crushed by false claims from tired old dinosaurs, now there's a new kid on the scene who's out to crush the competition. And his name is Titano.
How a bummer, dude.
If it's not there in 15 minutes, it's free. Titano's Pizza. Call 555-PIZZA for a free consultation.
Now, of course, Clark and Lois know that Jimmy lost his job, and Clark says, you know what, I think it's enough just waiting and seeing. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to go out into the city, I'm going to find Jimmy. Back at the Ace of Clubs, Bibbo and Jimmy are watching TV, and they see something about an explosion that we're not going to talk about again. Again, we're not talking about it. But during it, after they cover that story, they cover a more local news. And if you watch Metropolis Mailbox, you're going to see it ties in here. It's actually really cool. It ties back into the whole story. So the next news story that pops up is the ending of Metropolis Mailbox, where Superman and Emil Hamilton, they stage a visit for Santa to the local orphanage on the Daily Planet rooftop, and they hand out presents. I love this. I love the continuing canon of all of this. And Bibbo gets the idea, hey, why don't we do that? Let's get some presents and hand them out to the kids here in the slums. We know where you can get a bunch of toys and stuff for you to give away. Hey, Pat, that sounds like a great idea. Wait a minute, don't fool with me, Lamar. You're gonna buy these toys, ain't we? This on the up and up? Positively, Bib. Or should I say, Santy? The place will bill you. high above the city in the snowy air, Superman is scanning all of the likely places, just trying to find where Jimmy's at, and he's at none of them. I can't believe he didn't try to reach out to me or Lois for help. What was he thinking? His apartment's empty too. I'm going to find him if I have to tear Suicide Slum apart brick by brick. No sign of Jimmy yet. Well, I guess crime takes no holidays. Man, my hands are freezing. Having trouble, gents? Nah, thanks, but we almost got... Oh. I hope you appreciate the trouble you're in. I mean, breaking into a toy warehouse on Christmas Day... Ah, geez, Superman. We needed toys for Santa Claus to give to orphans. We was even gonna pay for them. I'm sorry, but you'll have to tell it to the police. There is a fair bit of damage to that door. Hold your horses. So Superman listens to Bibbo's plan, hears him out, and says, you know, you guys left your brains at home, but your hearts are in the right place. And I think I know how we can help. And he calls Lois and says, hey, get those extra toys from the last night and get them to the rooftop of the Daily Planet. I'll meet you there. He and Bibbo fly off to the Daily Planet, pick up Lois, pick up the toys, and they fly off to the orphanage in Suicide Slum where they meet a very, very sheepish Jimmy Olsen, who's just trying to convince the orphanage that they're actually trying to be there and do a good thing. Jim, I'd like to talk later, to catch up on things. Oh, sure. You're not mad at me, are you? Not at all, Jim. It's just that all of your friends were worried about you, including me. And once we get into the orphanage, we're greeted with another big reason why I love this era of Superman comics, and it's just that the comedy is on point and it's always appropriate and it's so funny. They all walk into the orphanage and Bibbo's there and he's dressed as Santa, and he's not really the kind of Santa you would expect to see. Nonetheless, he's there anyway, and the kids are kind of wary about him, and just some of the lines here are just great. I don't want to sit in his lap. I wanted to ask you to, honey. I want a fire truck, Santa, but your breath smells really bad. Santa, here, and oh, try another breath mint, Bibbo. They hand out all the presents. We're introduced briefly to Keith, which is huge. This is cool. Like, Keith, it becomes really important later and like several issues from now. But right now, he just exists. He's a background character that has a name. That's one of the big reasons why I love this era of comics so much, is because right now, if you pick up a comic book, if it's going to feel like it's written for the trade, it's going to have a very defined beginning, it's going to have a very defined end, and it's going to be like 6 to 8 issues long per story, and then you can hop off or you can hop back on. Just very, very simple, very built for the trade. Everything's a mini-series now. But here, you get tiny details that are brought up in the background of one issue, and then it pays off in dividends in a big way later, like years later. It will mean something huge, and you get this great payoff that, like, reading over months, or in my case with this omnibus, weeks, you get this great, beautiful payoff at the end, and I love it. Jimmy Olsen's mother shows up out of the blue, having been told that this whole charity is going down and Jimmy's involved with it, and she finds him, and he's kind of ashamed. For the last several weeks, the last few months of Superman comics, he's been really down on his luck. It's been kind of depressing to read. And his mom shows up and says, look, I don't judge you differently for not having the big success that you thought you were going to have by this point. And Jimmy learns that, you know, he might be down on his luck, but no man is a true individual. He has this village around him. He has all these friends, he has family, and all these people that really, really care about him. And they all want to help him succeed and get over this hump. And it's really nice to see. You know, there's a lot of love in this room. Amen to that. God bless you all. These past few days have really reminded us that the spirit of Christmas is in the giving, not the receiving. You wouldn't believe the joy on the faces of those kids, Lois. This Bibbo character surprised me. Guess you can't judge a fellow by the way he looks. He not only played Santa, but reunited the Olsens to boot. I'm so happy that Jimmy and his mom are together again. Merry Christmas, my lady. Oh, Clark, it's beautiful. What's this? It's a pullover sweater, Mr. X-Ray Vision. What? Would it be better if I wrapped your gifts in lead? Merry Christmas. This book, I think, balances out being a standalone Christmas story really well against the whole mission of this era, which was to continue this story. As a longtime reader of this, I was going through the omnibus to read these stories. So across several months, I was reading all of these stories about Jimmy Olsen just really taking the brunt end of life. Like it was kind of depressing to read, and then I get to this part where we start to get like a really nice resolution to it all, and that was great. It made my heart feel really good to see Jimmy finally get some good news. And at the same time, we get to see this system just really work, where we get this resolution to this highly emotional plot point, but then we get the start of a really high action plot point at the beginning of this book with the explosion that we're not talking about. You know, that's going to set up things for later that are going to be really high action packed. So, you know, the story continues, things keep on going. Just because I've finished one story arc doesn't mean that I'm done. The story continues, and that's really fun to read, and it makes me want to keep going, which is exactly what I want from serialized fiction like this. If I'm going to get a new story on a regular basis, I want it to mean something, and this does it. Now, as far as the holiday elements, I do admit that the ending of this story, where one of Superman's friends, with the help of Superman, dresses up as Santa to hand out presents to kids at an orphanage, that's exactly the same ending as Metropolis Mailbag. And if you're reading this in sequence, you just barely read Metropolis Mailbag. So like you're seeing kind of the same ending twice. But the difference here is that while the previous issue was very much based in nostalgia and very true meaning of Christmas-ish with that with the whole event that they were setting up, and there was kind of a bit more spectacle to it. In this issue, they highlighted a very different side of things. It was funny, it was quirky, it was silly, but at the same time, like, it still had that wholesome Christmas type messaging to it that, like, yeah, Bibbo's not the ideal Santa. He doesn't even really look like Santa. The kids think he smells bad. The kids feel weird about him. But he's still doing this out of the goodness of his heart, right? Like, he's still doing this because it's the good, right thing to do. That's what the difference a character can do. Like, while it's kind of the same thing, the fact that it's Bibbo doing it instead of Emil Hamilton, you know, it's so different. He's gruff, but he's good-hearted, and you can feel that character difference in the same event. I thought the art was really solid. You know, the book isn't very action-packed. There's really not any action that takes place. Superman flies through the air like twice in the book, and that's about all you get. But there are a ton of characters that show up. You have all of the kids, you have the people running the orphanage, you have all the people in the Ace of Clubs, you have Jimmy, you have his mom, you have Lois, you have Bibbo and all of his people, and it's like, it's a lot of people to balance, but the art does it. Every character feels interesting and unique, and I think they did a really good job on that end too. But as far as who I would recommend this book to, I would recommend this book to two types of people. One, if you watched the Superman movie and you got really into the character, the way the character acts in the movie is very much how he acts in this era of comic books. So there's that. And also, if you're kind of tired of just getting like really short reads in comics and you want to read something very, very ongoing, this book right here is a great sampler of what you would get if you started with the Triangle era. You know, it has plot points wrapping up, it has plot points beginning, it has plot points advancing, it has the humor, it has the set pieces, it's all there. And it's very well balanced too. It's a great example of what you would be getting yourself into. As far as cost is concerned, the books from this era are really, really cheap. You know, they fill up dollar bins in every comic shop across the country. Sometimes they're even cheaper than that. So you could probably find this issue and then definitely any of the other Triangle issues very, very easily. If you want to get them all collected, they did release the 2 omnibus volumes very recently, and that'll take you all the way from the beginning of when they started doing Triangles all the way through the death of Superman. Like Omnibus Volume 2 ends with the death of Superman somewhere in here, which is great because the Death and Return Omnibus was kind of a miss. So it's nice that we're kind of getting it again in the Triangle era Omnibus. So like you have all of that going on, and it will give you something really nice and meaty and worth reading for months and months and months if you want it to be. A great place to start. So that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for hanging out with me here and checking out this fun Christmas issue with me. I hope that you enjoyed it as well as I did. I was so happy and so pleased when I opened up the book and I saw that. I was like, oh sweet, more Christmas, and I just happened to be reading it in December. Oh, that's fun. I'm here for it. So if you liked it, go ahead and comment below about what your favorite part was or what your opinions are on anything. Tell me your favorite Christmas tradition. I don't know, let's just talk in the comments. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day, have a happy holidays, and remember to always be your best self.